In a world obsessed with rankings, two men dare to chisel greatness out of metaphorical granite, one wildly subjective opinion at a time. This show, every episode, we select four icons from a single topic and immortalize them in our own personal halls of fame. Subjective? Absolutely. Debatable? Always. Set in stone? Until next week, welcome to the Mount Rushmore Show, where your top four says everything about you. I'm Mike Mintz. He's Joe Mintz. And Joe, the football season, full swing. Kicked off on Thursday. Then Friday, we had a special game in Sao Paulo down in Brazil. Some big name teams. You got the Eagles and the Cowboys division matchup. You have the Chiefs and the Chargers, another divisional one. And some good games. I mean, they were pretty much coming down right, one score kind of games. So, some a pretty exciting start to the season, I'd say.
Mike, football is back and I couldn't be happier about it. Tomorrow, my Sunday routine, 1 o'clock, red zone, Commanders, Giants. I'm all over the place, man. My thoughts and emotions and feelings. And we just got started last week with our first NFL podcast in quite a while with Nick. Just getting us warmed up, but now we're in full swing, man. I cannot wait till tomorrow.
Well, and that's the thing. And East Coasters, you got to wait till the afternoon. We get it at 11 a.m. over here. So,
I've been to California a good bit in the wintertime during football season, and it hands down is my favorite part of California is getting to wake up to football. And honestly,
mm,
people say what they want to say about the London games being kind of a snooze. I love it because I get to be like 10 a.m. I'm getting ready. I'm like, wait, football's on now. I get to watch the second half of a game in the morning with coffee. It's the best. You Mountain Time, Pacific Time, people don't realize how good you have it. I haven't been able to stay up and watch a primetime game since the early 2000s.
yeah,
I can't stay up anymore, man. I haven't been able to do it.
yeah, well, and I mean, for all of our woes and all of that stuff, but really what it comes down to, Joe, is we're fans. We love the sport. We love the game. Last week, we talked about our favorite players from our respective favorite teams. Nick was awesome having him as our first guest. And then football kicked off, Thursday, Friday. We got big games coming up tomorrow for Sunday. So I guess let's tell them what this week's podcast is all about.
So we may be a little polarizing this week. It may offend some. I'll warn you in advance. Um, but we want to kick off the season with our boldest, let's call it most outrageous predictions of the year. So this week we're carving out our Mount Rushmore of 2025 NFL season hottest takes. The four predictions that could shake up the league if they come true.
I usually like to temper a lot of what I'm doing based in some sort of, reality or at least like skirt the line. But I'm going to be honest today, Joe, I am going to go all for some of these ones. And I may look back on it or people might go back and go, "Wow, how could you even think of that?" But that's the fun of an episode like this is we get to throw out some of those wildest shots. And even if they don't pay off, it's fun for right now to kind of have some conjecture around some of these crazy ideas.
I agree. And honestly, that's the way radio personalities have been. Colin Coward, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, Dan Orlovsky. They throw out sometimes outrageous predictions with zero accountability. How often I was watching Max Kellerman watching Tom Brady from 35 on after one game where he threw two picks and a loss saying, "It's over. It's over." Year after year and never getting the timestamp to come back to him. I will say, Mike, some of these predictions may be wrong, but we will recap them end of the year and we will own them. So that's the only thing I promise. Whether or not they're true or not, I can't guarantee. What I can guarantee is I will eat my words if I am wrong. Likewise, you.
Yeah, well, we'll bring the receipts whether we want to or not. Before we get into it, Joe, just real quick, what were your thoughts Thursday and Friday games? Did you get a chance to watch them?
So, not surprised in the Thursday game with Eagles winning. It was kind of a boring game. And I was disappointed as a fantasy owner of AJ Brown doing nothing. Um, Eagles are expected to be one of the best teams in the NFL. That comes to no surprise. I think the Cowboys' expectations are pretty low, even after the hype of the documentary and them just being the Cowboys. So the outcome didn't surprise me. The performances did surprise me because it felt like a slow game. I was expecting more offensive firepower. And then the Friday game was a surprise. I mean, the Chargers shocked the world in the opener. But then again, the game's in Brazil. Everything is thrown off. This whole overseas thing going on. How many people were at that game could name more than two players on the field? It must have been a joke. I mean, Brazil has no football culture. What are we doing here? I don't get it. I mean, the London thing is starting to build, but it's like Rob Lowe at the playoff game wearing a hat that says NFL on it. They just don't know. They don't have any fandom for these teams. It just seems
Yeah,
odd.
yeah, you're right. And what was surprising to me, and I actually looked this up yesterday. The top 10 sports in the world, NFL football isn't on that list, right? And so it's no surprise that people in Brazil might not be a big fan. And if they did show a lot of the people wearing jerseys, but they were wearing jerseys of teams and players that weren't even playing that night, last night. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of a tough one. And I suppose the NFL is about trying to expand out into some of these areas. I don't know. It is interesting. It's fun to go, hey, they're in Brazil or they're in London, but you also say does it throw off the game for the players and the teams? Absolutely.
And also, it's a Friday night, man.
Yeah.
Like football is we're used to it on Sunday. I mean, we've gotten used to it on Thursday. It's just now we're gonna have games on Tuesday, Wednesday next. Like they're just doing everything they can to just never let you not think about them. Like give us a night without you. Like I like it being on Sunday, ideally during the day, and that's the time I occupy to football. I just don't want to watch it every night of the week.
Oh, and I think that's a hot take, Joe. So let's go with that one. But no, you're right because like if
I
you
think there's a
over
lot of silent people that might agree with me. They're they're afraid to speak up because the NFL Illuminati may come after them.
I agree with you. And there was that idea for a long time. Sunday was all of the games. Then they added that Sunday night game. That was a big deal. The Monday night game, and of course, the different production and stuff, that was a huge thing for so long. This was this cultural phenomenon. And I think that the NFL got greedy. They wanted more of that in that Thursday night game. And we know the last couple of years, if not even before, those Thursday night games are some of the worst football you get to watch. So it's tough to say, let's do a Tuesday night game. Come on.
The NFL and greed? Come on, Mike. That couldn't be possible. You can't say that out loud. They might be listening to this.
Yeah.
You
Well,
might
don't
get we might get canceled as a podcast for saying that.
Don't cancel us. Well, if you want to cancel us, we're about to jump into it, Joe. We got some pretty interesting, I think. I do. I definitely got some strong opinions in this one.
Yeah, and some of these were harder. We kind of bucket our own way here. Can go any take you want. Um, but I want to find some sleepers along with some guys you didn't count on, right? And as I went through some of the stats, there's some teams that can make it, but I tried to pick one for each. That's the way I would structure it is, and as we go through it, it'll be more context of teams to watch out for, players to watch out for, and vice versa.
All right. Should we do it? Kick it off?
Start off, Mike.
All right, let's do it. My number one for my Mount Rushmore of NFL, I guess, hot takes, bold predictions is the Broncos are going to steal the AFC West. I think the Broncos are going to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs, not just based on Thursday's game, but in some general consensus. We'll get into it. I think the Broncos, even with Bo Nix as their second year quarterback, Chiefs, 9 consecutive division titles. I think they're going down. I think it's a tough division, Chargers, Raiders, but I think the Broncos have a good chance. It's going to be competitive, and that's why we're doing this, man. Bold choices, right? I think that this goes all the way no matter what, I think it's a non-Chiefs season for me in the AFC West.
Mike, I agree with you, and I don't think that's that hot a take. If you look at their roster, they have top three offensive lines. They have the best secondary in the NFL. They have a second-year quarterback that in his rookie year threw 29 touchdown passes and way overperformed expectations. They have a great team. And they have Sean Payton, who has won a Super Bowl and has been historically one of the better coaches in the last 20 years. So I'm not surprised with that at all. I'm going to go on a limb and agree with you. Even it's not necessarily my take. I do have an adjacent take to that what I will pick once you're done.
So you're joining me in saying that you think I'm right, but you also have a separate number one pick. Is that what I'm hearing here, Joe?
Correct. So you want me to jump into mine then?
Let's do it. Let's hear what your side is.
So my Mount Rushmore pick, pivoting off yours, I call it the mighty Will Falter pick, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs missing the playoffs. So
What?
you said they
Really?
won't win the division. I'm going to go out on a limb and say not only will they not win the division, they will not even contend for Super Bowl this year. They enter this year as, I would say, perennial favorites. I mean, there's no surprise they are a dynasty, right? Even though many have said year after year, oh, they don't look as good as the older teams. They still were in the Super Bowl last year. They still were the number one seed last year. And with Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid still anchoring a dynasty, it's hard to bet against them. I'm not going to deny that. And most analysts, I would say, have locked them in for another playoff run. Um, but there's much more divisional pressure this year than there ever have been. The AFC West is no longer a cakewalk. The Chargers just beat them in Brazil last night in the season opener behind Justin Herbert, who many have high hopes for this year. And I would say is a big pressure year for him after being 0-2 in the playoffs so far in his career. And the Broncos, to your point, have significantly improved their roster on both sides of the ball. And Sean Payton has them playing real football again and has them excited. Um, and it's also an incredibly competitive AFC. So take the division out, just making the wild card between teams like the Ravens, the Bills, the Bengals now with Burrow healthy again, and even the Texans rising fast. A slip up in the division could leave Kansas City boxed out. And I'm just going to notice some signs over the last few years to back up my thought here. Their offense ranked 15th in points per game last season. Pat Mahomes was not an MVP candidate last year like previous years. And last season, that was the lowest points per game in the Mahomes era. Um, Drops played with their receiver group, and they relied solely on Kelsey, who turns 36 this year. Is not sustainable. And then against the Chargers, Mahomes didn't look great. He looked frustrated. The receivers were out of sync even after picking up Xavier Worthy. And Kansas City's defense gave up 27 points. If that's a preview, the cracks are real. And to me, it's not blasphemy at all. It's just football. Dynasties end. You know, we've seen it time after time. And I think now we've been slowly seeing the signs on the wall. They've been squeaking out wins, even close games with, I would argue, inferior teams. And eventually that evens out in the wash. And this is the season we might see it.
Man, the Chiefs catching some shade early on here. Patrick Mahomes may not be able to recover. We'll see.
They got
Few,
enough. They can take it 1 year out, you know. It's like when the Patriots started to fall. It's like, all right, yeah, you're not good right now. But guess what? You've won more Super Bowls in the last 10 years than any franchise over the history of football's existence.
they,
So I'm not sorry for you.
sorry, not sorry. All right. Well, I mean, if we're throwing shade, Joe, I'm going to go ahead and take my next pick here, if that's cool for you. So
Do it.
here it is from bull to bust. I'm saying the Vikings will finish last in the NFC North. 14 win season last year. But, and I know, look, this is kind of bold, and I'll explain why. The Vikings have this particularly good offensive ecosystem. They're stellar in the offense, right? Great quarterback coach, coach of the year last year, and O'Connell. Good defense. However, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch, and I think JJ McCarthy is that bad apple, and I think he's going to take the Vikings down with him.
Mike, I have no idea what to expect out of JJ McCarthy. We haven't seen anything. I thought it was incredibly bold of them to move on from a 14-win Darnold, who's obviously synced well with that team and that coach, for an unproven commodity. I understand you got a cheaper guy and versus a guy that's now going to demand more dollars. And obviously they speak so highly of him. I don't know what they're seeing. You know, maybe it's just his mental aptitude and there's more upside. I don't know, but I really have no idea what to expect. I mean, I would say even last year they shocked the league being 14-3. People were expecting, they say Sam Darnold's their quarterback going into the year. They were expecting maybe 6, 7 wins, I'd imagine. Um, but I'd love Kevin O'Connell. I think he's a
Hmm.
great coach. I think he's great with quarterbacks. So I don't want to count them out. I can't jump on your bandwagon quite yet. I don't envision 14 wins by any means, but I don't envision them at least not sneaking in the wild card with the roster they have. If JJ McCarthy is only competent, now if he is a train wreck, that'll be the difference maker. But I don't think they would have made that choice to move on from Darnold if they thought that was even a possibility.
Which is what makes this pick particularly bold, right? I mean, they have a lot of pieces that would make them a solid playoff team and even a solid, at least a solid, 9-win team. And that's why I'm really going out on a limb. And you're right, JJ McCarthy, we really don't know. He is a giant question mark. If I were to say one player could tank a team, to me it would be a quarterback. And I think this is a situation that is ripe for that possibility. I guess when we come back for our receipt show, we'll see how far off the mark I am with this one, or maybe I nailed it. We'll see.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing about McCarthy. I didn't understand his draft stock coming out of Michigan. He felt like a game manager in Michigan, which honestly would bode well in Minnesota, but I don't envision him being a, Jaden McDaniels out of the box 4,000 30 touchdown type of guy, but I don't think they need him to. So that's the only thing as long as he just plays kind of simple ball and they don't let him make him do too much, I think they'll be fine, but he also could be a guy that, like most young players, feels the need to force more than they have to, and therefore, pick six central. We got another Jameis on our hands. You never know.
They don't want that. All right, Joe, what's your next pick here?
So I'm gonna do the you're picking that team head next, and you're gonna like this one, Mike, because
All right,
I'm
all right.
picking your Miami Dolphins. So most people are pretty cold on the Dolphins this year. Um, I think Vegas has their win total about 7.5, and Mike McCarthy is being pointed as the first coach to potentially get fired, whether it be mid-season or after this season. A lot of pressure on him to make the playoffs and make a run, frankly. Um, they really point to last season's collapse, um, but I look at Tua and the Tua Tagovailoa effect. When Tua is on the field, the Dolphins win. Over the past 2 seasons, the Dolphins are 16-7 with Tua starting and finishing games. He's ranked top 5 in passer rating, 101.8, and top 3 in yards per attempt during that span. Not to mention, you guys have firepower on offense with Tyreek Hill, who just had 1,700 yards a season or two ago, 12 touchdowns in 2024. And then you have Jalen Waddle. I think between the two of them, you have the fastest wide receiver duo in football. And then also, I like Mike McDaniels. Let's not forget how high we were on him just a couple seasons ago as a guru of sorts coming from the McVay coaching tree. Um, Mike McDaniels' offense finished number 1 in yards per play in 2023, and it's still top 10 in scoring last year despite injuries. He's, to me, more than just a fun play caller. He's built an offense that maximizes Tua's strengths. When they falter is without Tua. So when I'm making this prediction, my prediction is that Tua stays healthy all season along with it. I'm not going to go as far to say that they're going to finally get over the hump and win a playoff game yet, because I just think the AFC is so tough. But I envision them in the playoffs this year and us giving back praise to Tua and Mike McDaniels again.
I surprise, surprise, love that pick, Joe. It's always tough, as a person who, studies history, you have to be able to recognize your own biases. And of course, I'm very biased when it comes to the Miami Dolphins. So I've left them off of my list, but I'm glad I get to talk about them, and I'm glad that your hot take is not them completely crashing and burning and being the worst team in the league because my research shows, I did quite a bit this weekend or even last night. A lot of pundits right now are saying the opposite. You're hearing, I mean, there's certainly people that agree with you, but there's a lot of this. I heard they'll finish worse in the league. I heard Tyreek retires in the middle of the season. I heard Mike McDaniels will be fired by the bye week. You know, all of these kind of predictions that are coming out, and of course, you get wildly all over the place. But to your point, right? If Tua is healthy, Tua has shown that he plays at a high level. He's the difference maker. Much like I'm arguing J.J. McCarthy is going to be the downfall of the Vikings this year, the inverse is true for the Dolphins. If Tua stays healthy, he will be the savior of the Dolphins season this year. And maybe, just maybe, hopefully, biases on the table here, but we win a playoff game for the first time in 25 years.
I'm hoping for you, as long as it's not against the Baltimore Ravens.
All right. Well, I love it, man. Thank you for that pick. Well, we've been talking teams. How about we talk players? I got a player prediction here for this next season, and it's one that's been kind of kicked around, bandied about, and that is Travis Hunter. And I'm saying he will win Offensive Rookie of the Year, but he will not also win the Defensive Player of the Year. So,
Interesting.
mhm.
Give me some why.
All right, here we go. I think he's good enough to do it on the offensive end. I think if he focuses on that, and I think that on that team, the Jaguars, I think he's going to have some opportunity for playing time, and I think the coach is going to give him those chances. Additionally, the idea of here, I've seen quite a few people say he's going to win both, right? And I don't buy that because it's unprecedented, it never happened. Additionally, if he's doing well on the offensive end, they're not going to play him on defense. You know, it's almost like the reversal of what Deion Sanders his coach was, where Deion was a great defensive player who would show some times on offense and do some things, but never all of the time. I think you're going to see, and this is of course a bold prediction, but I think Travis Hunter is going to get the time on offense. I think he's going to do well in that system. I think he's going to do great on offense, and I think you'll see him every now and again in very specific plays on defense, but I think he's going to be focused that way. Hopefully, I'm wrong. I would love to see somebody win both of those awards. You know, that would be cool, but I just think I know it's bold, but I think Travis Hunter wins offensive rookie or player of the year. Yeah.
Mike, I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm going to disagree with you by naming out my next Mount Rushmore pick, and that's the counting out, the don't count him out guy. Travis Hunter is a bust.
Oh,
The hype on Hunter is massive. He's one of the few rookies expected to play both sides of the ball, to your point. Drafted number 2 overall. Jacksonville gave up a ton of trades to get him. And analysts are already calling him the Shohei Ohtani of the NFL. But I'm calling my shot. He won't live up to it. Hear me out. At Colorado, Hunter missed multiple stretches, including a 3-game absence in 2023 from a lacerated liver and nagging ankle hamstring issues in 2024. Durability is a huge question. I think he's relatively undersized. He's 185 pounds at 6'1". He's giving up 20, 30 pounds to most NFL corners and receivers. That's a frame has to survive 17 games, plus you're adding double duty on top of it. And then I think the two-way element's a trap. Playing both wide receiver and corner sounds great in college, and I think is what won him the Heisman. But in the NFL, it's a recipe for being an average player, both. Elite at neither. He's a jack of all trades, master of none. It's too much wear and tear. And defenses and offenses are too advanced. It reminds me of that scene from Moneyball, one of both of our favorite sports movies and our Mount Rushmore sports movies. And I think both were Brad Pitt Mount Rushmores, if I remember right. And I think of that scene sitting down with um, the player they wanted to convert to first base. And he goes, I've never played first base. And Billy Bean goes, it's not that hard. Right? Tell him Tex. Tex says, it's
it's
incredibly hard.
incredibly hard, right?
I understand you're fast, you're athletic, you can do a lot of things. You can get away with it in college. Both positions require their own dedication, right? It's one thing to come out for a play or two, but if you try and play, but he seems someone that's not dialed in to being the greatest at either one. He just wants to be a great player, and that doesn't work in the NFL. It never, what we haven't seen it work yet. Expectations for him as an athlete are sky high, but I think those expectations will crush him.
I love that take, and I love this particular
You
episode because
love that take after your hot take was the exact opposite.
exactly, and I'm going to explain why. Because this particular episode allows us to have wildly different viewpoints of a subjective future, right? And now we're the receipts are going to have to come, right?
Sure.
Somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong, or he'll probably, to your point, might be average somewhere on something. So I think we've got our bases covered. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose on this one, and I love that idea.
Yeah. Well, this is some of them we're kind of agreeing on or adjacently agree. And this is one we'll find out at the end of the year.
No, and to your point, to your credit, man, I agree with what you're saying. Injury stuff, and you're right, and that's why I said the defensive player thing is right out, right? He's only going to get the one, and if I had to pick one, I'm going to say offensive player. But man, fun. Well, I guess that leads me into my fourth and final, then, Joe.
Finish it up.
All right, well, these guys are close to you, and I thought I'd go big with my final one, and that's who's going to win the Super Bowl. Baltimore Ravens do it, and they do it in style. They're the most physical, most powerful team in the league. Defense, run game, come on. They can travel, they're weatherproof. That's crucial for playoff success, deep runs in the playoffs. And Lamar Jackson, it's his year, man. It's time to get it done. Strength, balance, Jackson, the quarterback, key defensive players, Derrick Henry, Baltimore Ravens, if everything plays out the way I expect it to, are poised to not just go, to win the whole shebang this year. That's my boldest prediction I got for this year.
I love that pick for multiple reasons. One, as most of you know, I live in Annapolis, Maryland. I work in Baltimore. Although I am a Commanders fan first and foremost, energy is sky high when the Ravens doing well. I would love nothing. In fact, my dream in life, and I've put it on a board in my wall. I try to manifest it in a journal, is a Maryland Bowl one day. We all talk about it. Last year, we thought it could happen. Commanders, Ravens. That'd be the dream scenario. But I would say it's a hot take in the sense that everyone's got the money on the Bills. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everything you're saying about Lamar's time, everyone's saying about Josh Allen's time, especially with my prediction of a faltering Kansas City Chiefs out of the equation. It seems like prime time for the Buffalo Bills to finally take hold of what feels like it's been theirs. But the Ravens are right there. You know, even that loss they had in the playoffs, the Bills, no fault to Lamar. I mean, a fluke play or two from their tight end Mark Andrews, and they win that game. If the all they have to do is hold on to the ball, you know, a very different outcome. Football's funny that way. They're right there. It could go either way. It's a coin flip. I love that take. I want it to happen. I want to do it only to lose if it's against the Commanders, but if it's any other team, go Ravens.
So you're cheering if it's any other team but the Commanders. You got the Ravens, huh? So
Let's be honest, man. If it's the playoff game against the Dolphins, who are you rooting for? Come on.
Dolphins, yeah, Dolphins all the way. No,
You'll eat
no,
your words
no.
at the bold take if it's the Dolphins. Emotions
I'll
override logic sometimes.
I'll own it.
That's
Uh,
sports.
you brought up an interesting point before you get to your last pick. I just wanted to touch on this. That this league is squirrely, man. I mean, predictable, unpredictable, completely unpredictable. We don't honestly know who's going to go anywhere, and that's what makes some of this fun. Is like we're taking some real big shots in the dark. And speaking of that, Joe, you got one more, if I'm not mistaken here.
I
So
do. And my last one is to watch out for that guy. And I'm going to go with Ashton Jeanty.
yeah.
Um, Not many rookies enter the league with rushing title talk, but Ashton Jeanty is different. I think he could lead the NFL in rushing yards in his very first season with the Raiders. Obviously, he was dominant in college at a smaller program than most at Boise State. He put up 1,800 plus scrimmage yards and 19 touchdowns last year as a runner up for the Heisman. And he averaged 6.1 yards per carry across his entire career in college. And I think he's in the perfect system in Las Vegas. Pete Carroll, their new coach, has always leaned on a workhorse. Look at Marshawn Lynch in Seattle. Go even farther back to USC days with the duo of Reggie Bush and Lendale White.
Mhm.
Carroll loves pounding the rock. And as far as quarterback goes, they acquired Geno Smith this season. And I would expect Carroll to run the ball early and often because Geno isn't what I would consider a high volume passer, which means Genty will probably get fed 20 plus touches a game. And at 5'9", 215, he's built like, I would say, the classic NFL bell cow. Low center gravity, explosive acceleration, and he's got power to grind. I think the stars are aligning for a surprise rushing champ. And I'm not going as far to say the Raiders will make the playoffs given the toughness of their division, but watch out for the Raiders. They could be a competitive team, but at the very least, they're going to have a stud of an athlete in their hands with Ashton Janty.
The hype on Janty is legit, man. I don't know how to put it other than this is a guy that everybody is talking about right now, and it's impossible to ignore. I'm in two different fantasy football leagues. He was the number one pick in both. One of them's a dynasty league in where the person traded all of their picks in order to get him first round. So there's a lot of people, Joe, that are completely on board, and me too. Me too. I'm excited, man. The guy shows he's kind of like, Jaden Daniels last year when we go, can a rookie really show up and show out? And there's some hope that we see lightning twice, where another guy does something incredible from that running back position.
And also, we got Tom Brady running the Raiders right now. I don't think he would go with anybody he didn't know had something special. And people say what they want to say about his involvement. I don't think there's a call. If I know in Tom Brady, he's involved in everything. Come on.
That guy, he wins, and you want people that have success, regardless of how you feel about him. I've certainly had my issues with him, but you can't argue with the success, and he's gonna bring that culture wherever he goes to touch whatever he touches. So.
Yep.
Hot take, Joe. Quite a few of them today. We've thrown out some wild ones. Whether or not you agree with us, I guess that's kind of the point of the show, Joe.
Yeah. Agree, disagree, or think we're completely off our rocker. That's the beauty of hot takes. We'll revisit them as the season unfolds.
I love that we're coming back. There's going to be a receipt show. We're going to take a look at this at the end of the season. What did we hit? Did any of us get anything? I know we're going to have at least the Travis Hunter pick that we'll be able to pick a winner or a loser on. Maybe some of the other ones too.
And these kind of takes are what makes the NFL so exciting.
Nonetheless, regardless, and we'll wrap it up here in a second, but here's the deal. The reason we're doing this show and the reason we did last show is because we're excited, man. We're fans. NFL is kicking off tomorrow, Sunday. Make sure to tune in. I'm sure I don't have to remind you. I'm excited to be back. I'm happy fall is here. So, school's back into swing. There's Friday night lights for the high school teams. Go watch some football, enjoy yourself, and relax on Sundays once again. For Joe Mintz, I'm Mike Mintz, and these are our picks. But the real question is what would you carve onto your mountain? Until the next episode, this is the Mount Rushmore Show.